Welcome back everybody, another compilation for you. Jobs from the workshop from this week. Some quite interesting ones this week, including this Planet X. Double tap gears, these don't work. So let's have a look at this one first. So I've already filmed this once. Unfortunately, I was wearing the incorrect microphone, so there's no audio. However, I can't really refilm it. The stuff I've done, you'll see. So I'm going to do a voiceover for the important bits, and then just fill you in at the beginning and the end with a microphone. That always helps. So the issue was basically, it was shifting up the cassette fairly well. No real issues there. But when it's coming down, it's very, very sluggish. Get to these last 2 or 3 sprockets down here, it wouldn't go at all really. You physically pull the derailleur over, it would go, which normally indicates a problem with the cable tension. The cable was pretty much brand new. All the housings and the inner appeared to be brand new from the customer, but I don't know how long they have been there, but they did appear to be in very, very good condition. So obviously taking this cable out and taking the inner cable out, normally I'd run a liner through this frame here, down to here, and just enables you to put the new cable through there, no problem. However, the liner wouldn't fit through these cable stops, and these cable stops wouldn't come out. So a bit of head scratching later to figure out how I'm going to get a new cable through there, because the hole is very, very small both ends. You've got no chance of just prodding it through and hoping for the best. So in the end, I got the endoscope out, took the headset out, as you'll see, and reveal what was inside there to progress the job. Even this piece of housing did appear to be new, but I changed it anyway. So I've unwrapped these bars, changed this piece of housing and wrapped it back up. And I'll just show you a few bits and pieces. It's a shame we didn't record because it's quite a good bit of video, but so like I say, I'll show you the clip now, voice it over, and you'll see what I did to fix that issue. So the main issue is, normally I run a Jaguar liner through, as you've seen before, but the hole in this frame is just so small, it wouldn't go through there. So you're kind of a bit stuck. Do you just sort of pull it out and hope for the best like this? Or do you do a bit more digging? So I got old Bernie out, the new endoscope, thanks again Bernie, and then you just pull the fork out and use your endoscope and you'll see exactly what's going on inside the frame. Absolutely awesome bit of design on this one. So basically they're bonded 3 individual carbon tubes within the top tube, as you can see here. Unbelievable. I don't know how they've even constructed this frame. So as soon as you know that, you can very confidently just pull that cable through, and you know it's just going to drop straight through as like that. So absolute piece of cake, an incredible bit of design. I still can't get my head around how they've done it, honestly, but hey ho. But now you know, very, very easy on a Planet X. Then it's just a case of obviously putting the fork back together. It's a good chance to serve as a headset while you're in there anyway, so that's straightforward. Because we need all the help we can get on this one with friction, I am using cable grease on this one. I don't very often use it, I'll be honest. But like I say, this bike needs every bit of help it can get. It's just friction, just slowing that downshift here. Getting that cable through there, it was proving very, very difficult. So in the end, I've had to unwrap the bars just so I can take that housing out of the back of the lever and thread it through properly. Otherwise, you're just going to end up with a massive kink as it comes through from the lever to that housing. You just can't get it through, it's impossible. So fortunately, the bars did wrap up pretty well in the end, so it wasn't the end of the world. At the same time of doing that, obviously, you're going to change that housing as well. It's just a no-brainer. So I changed that housing, threaded the cable back through there. As you can see, it's just covered in bar tape, so it just wouldn't go through. And then after you've done that, it's a piece of cake. So then I'll show you basically what happens. This is the old housing on the old cable. That's basically gravity, and it's just stuck. You know, it does kind of go there if you shake it, but I'll show you the difference with the new housing, new cable, literally just falls off. And that's what the sort of friction level you need in your cable system for it to work properly, especially on this sort of double tap. It seems to be super, super sensitive. Get rid of that friction, and I can guarantee you it's going to work straight away, unless you've got some sort of mechanical issue along the line, like a broken derailleur or something like that. So that's all I did really, is just replace that cable in the end, get the endoscope out, see what's going on in that top tube, and once you're confident in what's going on there, it's just a case of cabling up as per normal, rewrapping the bars, and away she goes. Pretty straightforward actually with the endoscope. Without that, you're just guessing, you just don't know how manufacturers have built the bike. Santa Cruz, for example, are fantastic. They're always pretty much fully lined inside. You can pull the cable and the hoses out with confidence. So let's go through these. Excuse the wheel bearings, I'm doing those next, don't worry. It goes up beautifully. Does it go down there? Previously it was getting stuck. It wasn't even doing these last 3 ones. It wasn't going anywhere near it. So let's go. Well, it's pretty much perfect. So it just goes to show you what difference it makes with a little bit of friction in these cables. It all looked good. It all looked brand new, but clearly there was some friction somewhere because I've done nothing to the mech, done nothing to the chain, cassette, not done anything really. Literally just fitted a new cable and it's straight up and down that block perfectly. So like I say, 99% of the time, issues with your gears are caused by cables. Nothing to do with your limit screws, your B screw, anything like that. Either your hanger's bent, your cables are knackered, or your chain's completely worn out. One of those three things. Anything else is a bit more obscure, can happen. But in my experience, 99% of gear issues are caused by most of that stuff, and the vast majority are caused by cable issues, as you saw there. I hope the voiceover worked okay-ish, because it's just sort of thing that when I do this, I just can't refilm that, as you would see. But yeah, these things happen, I guess. Anyway, what we got next? Quick update on the Canyon, where I did the rim brake DI2 job. If you've not already seen that video, check it out. It's proved very, very popular. Just wanted to address a couple of points in the comments. I've still got the bike, it's not been collected yet, obviously, but I think it's going tomorrow. So, a lot of people suggesting potentially this could have been removed, drill out the rivets, etc., and pop the cable through there. Yeah, I think it probably would work. I don't know how big this hole is until you take it out. But the reason I didn't do that is obviously it's a brand new frame, it's a customer's bike, and potentially if it has an issue with the bike going forward and sends a frame back to Canyon for whatever, they're not going to be very happy about the warranty sort of side of things if people have been modifying frames and drilling bits off. So that's the only reason that's been left there. But if it's your own frame and you're not too concerned about that, potentially that might work. I certainly wouldn't want to open up the hole any bigger than the rivet hole there on a chainstay. That's obviously a pretty structural part of the bike, unlike the two massive chunks of aluminium that were fettled open ever so slightly. So yes and no, in my opinion. A couple of people a little bit concerned about the black trunking that's stuck on the back of this chainstay. If it gets wet, it might fall off. So I'm going to add some very subtle red cable ties around here. They're supposed to be red, they look more orange, but they'll be pretty discreet when on there. And if anything does happen to the adhesive, it will just stop it falling off. So I'll just add a couple of those along there. And a couple of people suggesting maybe heat shrink here instead of these clips. But to be honest, I'm really happy with these clips and heat shrink. When it goes around the corner, it tends to get big creases in it. And potentially when you're doing some maintenance, you've got to get this brake cable out. There's a risk when you're taking that out, you're going to damage the cable. I think realistically both would work really, really well, to be honest. But yeah, I'm happy with the clips, to be honest. And quite a few comments saying, why don't you just fit SRAM, why don't you just fit wheel top? Well, you have to remember, guys, is the customer's been collecting these parts over several months before he's even spoken to me. So when he turns up at the workshop with XYZ bits, I can't just say, go out and buy a SRAM group set, mate. It don't work like that. So we're just going to work with whatever the customer supplies. SRAM wireless would be fantastic. However, the whole point of the build was to get rim brakes and SRAM wireless. You're not going to do that. Anyway, that clears those comments up. So next up was going to be some bits and pieces on this bike. However, I'm not touching this bike, and I'll show you exactly why. It's very, very old. It's made of aluminium. It's one of these things where pretty much everything on here is broken anyway. However, I was going to give it a go. New tyres, new chain, new cassette, and it would have been rideable. But let me show you this. That is a crack. So this is the head tube of the frame. It's got a big crack going all the way down there. It's not a scratch, that is 100% a crack on this old aluminium frame. That's where they go. And if you got one, you'll probably find 2 or 3 others around here, around the bottom. This is the end of the line for this bike. If you find that, you need a new bike, or at least a new frame. Clearly you could get it welded, painted, repaired, heat treated, but on a bike that's worth nothing, it is certainly not worthwhile. If it's your pride and joy, some classic mountain bike from the 90s, it's worth a lot of money. Potentially you get it repaired professionally, something like this. That's the end of the road, unfortunately. I won't be touching this bike. Liability insurance, etc. I can't send it out the door with a cracked frame, so I'll be doing nothing to this bike and advising the customer it's time for a new bike. Hey ho, can't win them all. Next up we got this Boardman. It's been waiting a few weeks for a new fork due to ring of death. So let me show you that. So the customer brought the bike in for a service and didn't notice that the headset was extremely loose, and I'm talking you can move the fork backwards and forwards an inch. Best part of it's practically falling out. So unsurprisingly, when you take this out, there's a massive groove in here. You can certainly feel that. It's probably about 1 millimeter deep. This is what's known as the ring of death. It can be repaired by carbon specialists apparently, but it's not going to be repaired on this one. We've got a new fork to drop in there. So basically the risk of riding around like this is obviously you've compromised the strength of the carbon, and potentially this is obviously where your headset bearing sits and your stem etc up here. Potentially you're going to snap this off and your bar, stem etc are going to go in a different direction to you, and you'll end up underneath a vehicle coming the opposite direction. So literally ring of death. So if you've got this, you can't ride your bike basically. It can be repaired, as I say, by carbon specialists, but 9 times out of 10 it's easier just to get a new fork. However, the bike is pretty old now and you certainly can't get a replacement fork for this. It's not possible. There's a couple of used bikes on eBay where you could potentially salvage the fork, but you don't know what condition they're in either. So what I did for this one is AliExpress. So these are carbon fibre forks in the correct size, around about £80 delivered, and an exposed carbon weave. Obviously it's not going to be a correct colour match to the bike, however I think exposed carbon is going to be a pretty good compromise. So these actually look really, really good. So they're not obviously rim brake, quick release with the correct size steerer for that split race that's on that other one. So we'll drop these in, cut them to size, and away she goes. Like I say, I think exposed carbon weave is going to be a pretty good compromise on this one. Some Bianchis come like this anyway, so it's not going to look too ridiculous and it's going to be safe. So let's get this measured up, get it fitted. Do need the brake off this obviously, and this crown race as well, so just remove them. Yeah, I was most surprised that the customer didn't notice the headset. Probably one of the worst I've ever felt. As soon as I touch the bike you can feel it rattling around, and like I say, if you pick up the bike and rock with the fork, there's probably about an inch of movement down here. Honestly, it was just outrageous. Anyway, so get this crown race off. Just need a puller for this. You could probably get a screwdriver in there if you wanted to, but I'll just use this. Drop it behind the waist and tighten these up. And even that can just be enough to pull it off sometimes, but if not, we'll just tap this with a hammer. There you go. Getting a drop of grease on there just to make the installation easier more than anything else. And this should just tap straight onto there. Doesn't even need a tap, that's just gone straight on there. Good. Pretty impressed with this fork actually for this price. I think I might order a couple of these and keep them in stock for similar scenarios going forwards. It's always been a bit of a problem, but this looks like a good solution to that there. So now it's going to be a case of measuring up, obviously, for cutting the steerer. Don't just measure it against the old one, you need to do it properly. Just throw your bearings in. We're not going to grease them yet, but we will do when we get it all back together. Drop my shiny new fork in. It's the next bearing. It should hold itself. By the time you get that bit on, it will hold itself together. These are all the spaces that are right on it. The colour looks really good actually, you'd never know. So what we're going to do now is compress this down by hand as far as it'll go. Score a line on here and cut that below that line. I've showed you this quite a few times in videos, to be honest. I think we've got a whole video about it actually. Just score the top of this. This is not your cut line. If you get it wrong, you've got a lot of spaces to play with, so you can do it again if you need to, but don't get it wrong. So when you're happy you've got that, don't use a Sharpie pen, whatever you do, because by the time we took all this off, it'll be completely gone. You need to actually physically score it like that. And you can see that line there, no problem. And take it all out again. You can cut it in situ, but when it's a fork like this, it's super easy just to take it out. So, line it up, you can see, I can't see, but you can see, I can see the mark there. And we're going to cut around about 3mm below that. Around about there. Clamp that down, and this, spray it with some water just to control the dust, and obviously wear a mask, so I'll do that and just get this cut. Going to tidy that end up a little bit. Permagrit, this is basically tungsten carbide, it's permanently impregnated. It lasts forever. This is very expensive, but it does a great job. I had it before for carbon fibre stuff, not for this, but it's an awesome job. It's pretty good. And I get this expander in there. Like that. Tighten that up. Get in the bike. Now we'll get some grease in there just for these bearings to not seize into. This is aluminium and the bearings are steel, so obviously you want some sort of protection there. That's a good fit. Yeah. Spacers on, and then hopefully a perfectly fitting stem. Lovely. Drop this in. Good, no play there. Get it lined up, and then we'll torque these down. And away she goes. I actually think this fork looks better than the original one. Let's chuck this in so we can line it up. Oh no, it doesn't. It does fit. This looks great. Honestly, you're not going to get a 28 in there, let me tell you that. Yeah, it's good. Not a bad guess, was it? Literally perfect, almost. Yeah. Got the new bar tape to go on, don't worry. Put the front brake on, and that's that done. But yeah, new fork, I'll show you. It looks really good. And just throw the brake back in. So just beware, you may need a longer version of this, depending on what was on there before. Just before we look at this next one, quick pause to say a massive thanks to Sport and Leisure for sponsoring today's video. So we all know there's nothing worse than being right in the middle of a job, only for everything to come to a grinding halt because a part you ordered said it was in stock. It wasn't in stock, was it? Sometimes it's not even in the same country. I've been there, done that. 3 weeks I've waited. .co.uk, Spain apparently. Work that one out. Anyway, that's why I use Sport and Leisure. They're based right here in the UK. Their stock levels are 100% live. Says it's on the shelf and ready to go. Get your order in before 3 PM and it's dispatched the very same day with free delivery on all UK orders. Plus next day delivery is only £2.50, which is brilliant when you just need to crack on with the job. They've also updated the channel discount scheme for you. Head over to sportandleisure.com/BCR or scan this QR code on the screen right now. It will automatically generate a 10% discount off your very first order at checkout. So if you're buying parts anyway, it's a really easy way to save an extra bit of cash. So the link's in the description below. And a massive thanks again to Sport and Leisure for continuing to support the channel. Right, what we got next? So this Rock Rider, customers bought some new bits for it to upgrade. It is a fairly low end bike, but we put some sensible upgrades on there to hopefully improve things somewhat. Let me show you. It's mostly around the brakes really. These levers, as you'll see here, this is a plastic body. And look how much flex you got in there. So I'm not actually putting the brake on there. All I'm doing is flexing this plastic lever. And if you press that hard enough, I'm pretty sure I could snap that. So they are pretty awful. We're also getting rid of these shifters at the same time because they're not the best. So this and this, both sides coming off, and these Shimano rapid fires are going on. Pretty straightforward this should be. 10 minutes, let's get going. So the shifters come with new gear cables, so I'm not using these. This is a B-Twin own brand derailleur. A lot of plastic in this as well, this could be an issue. We'll find out. Yeah, I'm not using that front cable either. Just disconnect this back brake. And the front one, we're just going to retain these cables, so that's what we need to do there. And then unhook that from the lever. So just line your slots up here. This is one of them annoying ones that comes out the bottom. Line the slots up and that'll just pull out its little housing there. Same for that one. Keep doing that, sorry. And these should just drop straight into the Shimano levers as they are. Easy. Covered in tubeless sealant, sorry. So we've got some new grips. So we could just cut these off, but we couldn't try and get them off properly. Compressed air works really well for this. The air gun under there, it should blow off. Like that. Super easy with an air gun. Alright, I would just take these off now. I don't need any of this. We should be able to use these gear housings as well, to be honest. So just the inners that we're not using, obviously. That off. And brake lever is just this one. Look at this, it's fell apart. Jesus. Told you they were rubbish. Flipping heck. This is where the cost cutting exercises come in. Plastic brake levers. Terrible idea. So we're done. So that's probably 3 or 4 minutes to get all that off. Now we'll just chuck these on. A set of 3x7s. I've got new grips. I'm just going to loosely bolt this on for an hour. We can move it in a minute. What's that? New gear cable. The bell's going to be in the way. We'll move this out of the way for now, decide where you want to put it later. So that gear cable can just go down the old housing. It should be in a pretty good length for that. Perfect. Same on the side. So the customer actually ordered these from the video sponsor, Sport and Leisure. I think he paid less than £20 delivered using my discount code. So for that price, honestly, what a fantastic upgrade for your bike. Rear brake cable can just basically hook straight in, really, hopefully. Again, line these slots up at the front on this one. Pull your cable. And what's that bit in as well? Same with this one. You might need to adjust the cable at the brake, but that's no big deal. That bit done. At the rear mech now, just take this piece of cable out that we don't need. We'll use this again, nothing wrong with that. Pull this cable underneath the bottom bracket. Through here. Gear lever is in 7th. So is that. So I'm just going to pull this cable fairly tight, hook it underneath here. I'm not convinced this mech's going to be very good. It's like all plastic, I think, by the looks of it. All of this looks like it's plastic. Right, it's basically connected. Let's just try that. Looks like it might work. Let's connect the front one up. Again, take this old piece out that we don't need. And connect a new one. Again, make sure your lever's in the correct position, which it is. Don't need this much. And then that one there, and that one on there. Just going to hook this back brake up, see how it feels. So we might need to adjust it on here because the lever's slightly different. Might be okay. Alright, yeah, pretty tight that is. Back a little bit of cable out. Set this a bit better. And about there. Pretty good. There, Robin. And no, this fork is not on back to front. This is the design of this one. Copy in the Manitou, I think. Yeah, I'm just going to pull a bit more cable through because it will be the same as the back. Quickly balance out. There's too much spring pressure on this side, so back that one out. Not that much. That's as good as you get with these very, very cheap V-brakes. They're basically just pressed steel, so they're super cheap. Well, that's tight, brakes work. Let's have a look at the gears then. Almost there then. Chuck it on the middle chainring. Should hopefully go straight up pretty much. Yep. And try the back. Perfect. And back down. And absolutely nothing to that, and that's working perfectly. A little bit too much tension on the front, you can hear that rubbing. I'll screw that in at that shifter and that'll just move that over a bit. Get rid of that. Right down there, up there, up there. Literally perfect straight away. Fantastic. Customer supplied some new grips. These are race face apparently. Which way is it up? I'm guessing that's the top. I'm not sure. Guessing that's the top because that's where you'd want to see that writing. I could be wrong. I have been wrong before with these things. Make sure that's flush with the end of the bar, which it is there. And tighten your brake lever to where you want it now. I will check these, don't worry, but I think that's the right way. Knit that up. Same on this side. Still works there. And tighten this grip up just a 3mm here. I suspect these grips might be off AliExpress as well. They're just in a very cheap plastic bag, no packaging, so and they give you some end caps as well. Always fit these. Super dangerous if you don't. That's it. Not sure how long that was, maybe about 10 minutes, 15 minutes tops. But yeah, very, very straightforward. These are very cheap. I think you can pick these up for sort of £20 for the full set. And honestly, it just transforms the bike. It's actual metal brake levers now, rather than plastic, and Shimano gear levers. Really, really, really well worth doing. If you just pick them up, and you can see it's super straightforward. Very easy job to do. Cool. Right, get that back to the customer. See what we've got next. Next up we got this Oro. Now, you know I don't really like matte black paint, but this actually looks really good with these gold highlights and this gold bar wrapping as well. It looks really nice. Anyway, this is in for a couple of issues on the gears. It's actually the same owner as the blue Oro. You may have seen the video already. Same owner. He wants this piece of cable replacing, which is no problem. This will be replaced with the RS900. And then he's complaining about the front mech intermittently not working. Now I've had a look at this and it's doing some weird things. So let me show you. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but I'll go up. You can see all of this move then. Shouldn't do that. So it sort of goes up and then this whole cage wobbles around while the chain settles down. And then it's up, but it shouldn't do that. It should be literally in and out. So the problem is this mounting screw down here is not doing much securing. However, the part of the frame this actually bolts onto is extremely flexible. That's all flexing that braze on there. I'll check the bolts for the braze on are tight, and then I'm going to reposition this using the 2mm screw that goes in there. Hopefully in a slightly better angle than what it's at the moment, because it's not doing a very good job. So I hope that's all it is. So I'll have a quick look at that. So I think ultimately this may end up with a new cable anyway. This looks like an original Shimano cable. It's getting a bit frayed up down here. Let's get this chain off as well. Look at it. You shouldn't, absolutely shouldn't be able to do that. The whole mech is just moving so much. Undo that, and then I'm going to actually take it off, like I say. This little screw here is what braces against this area here. It looks like it's just catching the edge of this bolt, but it is hitting metal, which it needs to. But yeah, it's rubbish. Let me see if this is loose. I don't think so. No, it's tight. Tiny bit, but nothing major. And that's okay as well, but it just seems to be flexing so much on the frame, but there's nothing we can do about that. That's just how it's manufactured. So I'll refit it. I'll clean all this up and refit it. There's also a bung missing down here, so I'll put something in there. Hopefully this will do that. A little bit of persuasion. Yeah, perfect. So any old jobs were that easy. I'm cleaning it really to see if there's any cracks or anything, because I'm so much flex in it. I can't see anything, so let's get it back on. I need to back this screw out first. There's a 2mm access through here, like that. Sometimes these can be a bit seized. This one's okay. So I'm just going to back that out, just until it's flush with the back of that there. And then once it's mounted onto the frame, I'll push that out again at a better angle, hopefully. So I get that back on there. I don't see any issues with the actual mech itself. So I'm going to mount this significantly unparallel. So the back end of the mech is going to be pretty much touching the wheel at the moment. And then we use that screw to pull it over, to pull it parallel, and hopefully brace it a lot better than it was. Right, so that's tight-ish there, and then just check the height of this as well. Look at that, that's the whole frame moving, just bonkers. Okay, so that's a good height. And then you go back into that 2mm screw, and we use that to pull this part of the derailleur outwards to be parallel with the chainring. And this should really brace it quite strongly against this braze-on bracket. Right, so that is now completely parallel. Feels pretty good. Reconnect this cable, just going to back out this tension. Check your gear lever is in its lowest of lows, including trim, which it is. Hook that all through there. And then reconnect the cable. We need to put quite a bit of tension on these. And then we finally tune it with that one there, basically. Like that. Then to check the cable tension, shift it all the way up, and then you back off just one trim position, so you'll see this move a tiny bit. Like that. And then on this, there's two little lines, there's one here and one here. These basically need to line up with the cable tension, so they need a little bit more to around about there, and that's what that screw does. To there. Once that's set, this should work perfectly, yeah? Right, well. Some people hate these, some people love them. Personally, I love them. I think they're fantastic mechs. So I'll reconnect this cable for now, see how it goes, and then see if we fixed it or not. It's cut nice and short, so just to help you put it back on, put that on first. Otherwise it's a bit fiddly. Like that, perfect. That's how I cut these. I cut them really, really short just to keep this thing in place. If you leave it out here, what tends to happen, eventually this cable gets caught underneath here, pops itself out and just kills it basically. So cut it really, really short, and that keeps that in place. I think it might need a new bottom bracket as well. Wow. Anyway, that's not part of this video. Wow. T47. Just put the chain back on and see what it does now. KMC on this, waxed as well. So you'll notice everything is spotlessly clean. Do love wax. Let's see how this looks now. Much better. It's just shifting, it's not doing its little wiggle down the bottom. A massive improvement. Good. Right, let's go to the back. It's been like super crimped. All them Nipex ones, you're not pulling this one off. I'm gonna have to cut this. 10mm to play with. However, we might be able to make this slightly shorter, so that'll gain some cable. Undo this. Take this piece out. This is the bit we're changing. I'll show you why. Not touching anything else. That's you can just stay where it is. It's actually RS900. It's just seen better days. So this is coil wound basically. So normal gear cable has strands going longitudinally. I think that's the right word for it. But this stuff has spiral wound. It makes it a lot more flexible like that. But obviously this is just perished, so we'll just replace it with a new piece. A big box of it. I don't think much of this is left is Shimano. This is actually aftermarket, same stuff. I do have some Shimano bits and pieces. Getting a bit low on the end caps for Shimano though. Measure that up and trim it off. So that one there. And the same with brake cables, make sure you finish this end correctly. It's got a little sharp bit sticking up there, so I'm just going to finish this on the grinder, get it nice and flat. And you must use a metal piece on the end that goes into the mech. I do have enough cable. It's going to be tight. This is the problem you have with the Shimano coated cables. Look at all this. This is the PTFE. Basically just bunching up. Great when it's new, but then it does this and just, yeah, it's not the best thing. Anyway, we'll see how it goes. It was actually shifting really nicely. It's just this damaged cable. Actually, I'm going to make that shorter. It's too long for me. And because this piece never moves, the only sort of movement you've got to accommodate is sort of that. So it is a bit long as it is. So you can go to sort of here. It's only ever going to go shorter as it goes up the cassette. So you can run it sort of super short like this, really, to be honest. So I'm going to trim that down a bit. Beautiful. I think R8000 like this, it does make you question why you need Di2, but again, that kind of answers your question. You get rid of cable issues, but it shifts fantastically. It really does. So that's the two issues with the gear sorted. I'll speak to the customer about the bottom bracket. I've not got one in stock, so that will need to be ordered anyway. But apart from that, bike's in fantastic shape, and it's just really these two little bits it came in for. And obviously that. Hope you enjoyed that little compilation. This bike here is for this coming Saturday's video. Actually, I've just wrapped this one up, literally just wrapped this one up. You crazy bars. So if you want to see that, tune in on Saturday. Bit of a confession, this video you've just watched should have gone out the week before. So I've got the scheduling a little bit mixed up, so continuity may not make quite sense when I'm talking about that bottom bracket. Apologies. Anyway, I'm sure you get the gist. So if you did enjoy that and you've not already done so, you know the score. Subscribe, like, share, hype, all that great stuff. It really does help the channel grow. The channel's growing actually really, really well, so I thank you all for those who have subscribed. My stats are saying that 50% of you still haven't, even though you're watching. Why not? Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again, same time, same place, next week. Enjoy the rest of your day.